Imagine standing at the edge where a new ocean is being born right before your eyes. This isn't science fiction or scenes from a movie about the future. This is a reality happening right now in East Africa. Here, in the heart of the Afar Triangle, the Earth is cracking, tectonic plates are pulling apart, and volcanoes remind us that our planet is alive and constantly changing. Are you ready to witness it? This amazing geological mystery promises to change not only the landscape, but also our view of the planet. And a new ocean. That is about to change the map of the world. Ready for a journey to the heart of the rift? Then let's get started. The formation of the rift, a giant crack. Imagine Africa cracking. Not in a figurative sense, but literally. The East African rift stretches across the continent from Ethiopia to Mozambique, a giant crack in the Earth's crust. This is one of the largest tectonic rifts on Earth, stretching over 3,728 miles. It runs through East Africa, covering countries like Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and Mozambique. This rift was formed as a result of the splitting of the African lithospheric plate into two parts, the Somali and Nubian plates. Their movement is gradually pulling the continent apart, and in the future, millions of years from now, East Africa will become a separate, independent landmass. The rift zone is a true treasure trove of natural and geological wonders. Here you'll find both active and dormant volcanoes. For example, Kilimanjaro, which is also the highest mountain in Africa, and Nyiragongo, famous for its lava lake. The rift is also home to some of the deepest and most picturesque lakes in the world, such as Lake Tanganyika, Lake Malawi, and Lake Turkana. And thanks to the volcanic activity in the rift, you can find plenty of geothermal springs. And we can't forget about the fauna. In the savannas of the rift, you'll find elephants, lions, zebras, and other unique species of animals. The East African rift is not only a natural phenomenon, but also a place where you can see the evolution of the Earth in real time. Moreover, this area is important for science, as it provides evidence of the constant movement of our planet. It reminds us that the Earth is a living organism that is always changing. And this rift only seems like a crack to us right now. Why is the crack in the ocean right here? A new ocean will form in East Africa due to the unique geological structure of the region known as the Afar Triangle. This place is located at the junction of three major tectonic plates, the Arabian, Nubian, and Somali plates. In the Afar Triangle, the lithospheric plates are moving apart at a rate of about 1 inch per year. The main rifts in the region, the East African Rift and the Red Sea Rift, are already zones of splitting. The crust in this zone is getting thinner due to stretching and magmatic activity. In some places, it almost reaches the thickness of oceanic crust, which indicates an early stage in the formation of a new oceanic basin. Ultimately, the magma rising from the mantle will create a new ocean floor, and the waters of the Indian Ocean will flood into the rift zone, completely flooding it. In 10 to 20 million years, a new ocean will completely separate the Somali plate from the Nubian plate, creating a massive body of water that divides the eastern and western parts of Africa. So, the Afar Triangle is the perfect place for the birth of a new ocean. The unique tectonic activity, hot spots in the mantle, and thinning crust create conditions where the splitting of the continent and the emergence of a body of water are inevitable. In millions of years, East Africa will become an island surrounded by a new ocean, completely changing the geography of the region and the entire planet. If we look into the past, we can find similar situations, confirming the likelihood of an ocean appearing in Africa. For example, the Red Sea was once a rift valley, but only later did it become a full-fledged body of water. The Atlantic Ocean formed when the supercontinent Pangaea began to break apart 200 million years ago. But did you know there's a story that mirrors current events exactly? History repeats itself. The Mongol-Okhotsk Ocean. In 2019, during excavations in Mongolia, signs of an ancient ocean were discovered. Recent studies have helped scientists better understand the mechanism of its formation and disappearance. The Mongol-Okhotsk Ocean was a large body of water that existed hundreds of millions of years ago in the area that is now Mongolia. This ocean was part of a complex system of ancient seas and oceans that formed as a result of the splitting and movement of tectonic plates. Its fate and disappearance are closely tied to the history of tectonic processes that transformed the Earth's landscape. Just recently, specialists discovered in its place thick layers of sedimentary rock that likely formed on the bottom of the ancient ocean. These layers are made up of sandstones, clays, and limestones that contain fossils of marine organisms, such as trilobites and ammonites. But how did the ocean come to be, and why is it so important for us to learn its history? And here's why. For example, 400 to 300 million years ago, at the end of the Paleozoic era, the ancient continent of Pangaea began to break apart. During the process of the continental plate splitting, the Mongol-Okhotsk Ocean was formed. It occupied the area between the Siberian platform to the north and the Mongolian-Chinese platform to the south. For millions of years, the ocean was forming new oceanic crust due to the divergence of the plates. This process was accompanied by volcanic activity, as evidenced by the findings of basalts and other volcanic rocks in Mongolia. Remind you of anything, the movement of the lithospheric plates has changed. The process of their convergence began. This led to subduction. The Mongol-Okhotsk Ocean began to gradually disappear. The complete closure of the ocean occurred at the end of the Jurassic period. As a result of the collision of continents, the remnants of the oceans were stitched into the Earth's crust, forming mountain ranges like the Stanovoy Range, the Altai, and the Sayans. Mongolia, Africa, from the past. The situation with the Mongol-Okhotsk Ocean and the modern East African Rift have some similarities, showing how plate movement leads to the transformation of continents. The Mongol-Okhotsk Ocean began to emerge from the splitting of the plates, as is happening in East Africa. Right now, this kind of continental crust rift is forming a rift that could eventually become an ocean over time. In essence, this is a process that is an early stage of what already happened in Mongolia millions of years ago. First, the splitting of East Africa will lead to the formation of a new ocean between the eastern part of the continent and mainland Africa. Later, a story we already know will repeat itself, and a similar process could end in inversion. Yeah, so the closure of the new ocean, when the plates collide, will lead to the formation of mountains. So, East Africa is currently in the early stages of its tectonic changes, while Mongolia has already completed this process and serves as a kind of snapshot of the future that could await Africa millions of years from now. What is the Afar Triangle? The Afar region is part of the Afar Triangle, an important geological feature where three tectonic plates converge, the Arabian, Nubian, and Somali plates. This region is considered the cradle of a new ocean, as the process of plate splitting is gradually creating a depression that will eventually fill with water. The lowest part of the region is the Danakil Depression, which sits at 410 feet below sea level. It's one of the hottest places on the planet. The climate of the region is dry and extremely hot, with minimal rainfall. However, the natural conditions of the Afar region are diverse and unique. Here lies Erdale, one of the few active volcanoes in the world with a permanent lava lake. This makes the region a magnet for volcanologists. There's also the Danakil Desert here. It's famous for its unusual landscapes, acidic pools, vibrant salt deposits, and sulfur formations. The most famous place is Dalo, where you can find thermal fields with bright yellow, green, and orange colors, created by the deposition of minerals. Despite the extreme conditions, the region is home to adapted species of animals, like desert foxes, African wild donkeys, gazelles, and various species of birds. The Afar region is considered one of the key areas for studying human evolution. This is where the famous fossil of Lucy was found. The Afar, Australopithecus. Currently, the region remains an important area for studying the splitting of continents and the formation of new oceans. Scientists from around the world are watching how tectonic processes are changing the landscape. Population of Afar. The main population of the region is the Afar people, nomads, whose way of life is closely tied to the desert conditions. They speak the Afar language, which belongs to the Cushitic language family and has its own cultural traditions. The Afar people are considered some of the most resilient to extreme conditions, thanks to their adaptation to heat and drought. Their main occupation is herding. They raise camels, goats, and sheep, which provide them with milk, meat, and wool. Salt also plays an important role in their lives. The Afar people traditionally extract it from salt lakes, cutting it into blocks and transporting it on camels to neighboring regions. Afar culture is rich in oral poetry, songs, and dances that are passed down from generation to generation. The Afar primarily practice Islam, which is blended with elements of traditional beliefs. Of course, due to the harsh climate conditions and poverty, the local population often faces a shortage of water, food, and medical assistance. Political and social conflicts in the region also complicate life for the local people. However, many people are now trying to help the Afar. East Africa. East Africa is a unique region that is at the epicenter of major geological changes that are heralding the formation of a new ocean. The processes occurring in the Afar Triangle clearly demonstrate how the interaction of tectonic plates, volcanic activity, and magmatic processes split the continent. Here, where the Arabian, Nubian, and Somali plates are pulling apart, the Earth's crust is getting thinner. That will eventually lead to the flooding of the region and the birth of a new body of water, separating East Africa from the rest of the continent. Thus, East Africa serves as a unique laboratory for the evolution of the Earth. These processes not only reveal the secrets of the past, but also allow us to glimpse the future of our planet, where the boundaries of continents will inevitably change, forming new oceans, changing climates and ecosystems. Everything we see in East Africa today is the beginning of a new geological era. In summary, we are witnessing the beginning of an incredible natural phenomenon in Africa that will reshape the landscape and trigger a lot of changes, both for the local ecosystem and for the people themselves. Scientists predict that this process will take millions of years, but its effects are already being felt today, offering unique opportunities for exploration and adaptation. As the distant future reveals its secrets, we wonder what other mysteries the underworld holds. And can the opening ocean become just the beginning of a new geological era? Stay with us to be the first to learn about the further developments in this exciting story. I have an interesting proposal for you. If you're interested in stories like these and know how to tell them in an engaging way, you have video editing skills, or maybe you can voice over videos in Russian, English, or other languages, you can become a part of our team. All you need to do is go to our Telegram bot using the link in the description. And that's all. See you next time.